The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland. I'm Art Silva, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is dedicated to your mental wellness and how you can help navigate the daily highway of life. Our show is brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency serving the Siouxland community. Joining me today from Family Services is Brenda Geisinger, Chief Operating Officer, and Amy Small, Clinical Therapist. Good morning, ladies, and welcome.
Good morning.
Well, today our topic is children and summer activity. It's that time of year. Okay, no more teachers, no more books. Okay, so school friends are on vacay, junk food is more prevalent, and Minecraft becomes a lifestyle. So with all that, here comes summer. So, ladies, if you could share with me your expertise on a good mental wellness summer, let's talk about it. So first of all, how does summer affect a child's health?
Summer can do great things for kids' health. You know, they can be more active. I know the first few weeks of summer, my kiddo goes to bed super early because he's running around outside, getting dirty, building that immune system, things like that. But it also can be a time where kids feel a little bit isolated because for some kids, the school is where they get most of their socialization. It's where it's their safe place. So it's really kind of up in the air per kid.
I think summer offers this chance for freedom, exploring, but then they can get bored very, very quickly or just really, really frustrated. What am I going to do? Or I want to do everything. Let's go, 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 go. So it poses challenges, but it also has lots of opportunities and fun.
Well, in our previous shows, we've talked about the importance of having a routine for your mental wellness. So how important is it to develop a summer routine for children?
I think it helps with the expectations. This is our schedule. Let's kind of stick to it. And it doesn't have to be hard and fast, but you know, letting your child sleep till noon and then they want to stay up till midnight is kind of hard on a working parent. So you still have to have some boundaries and rules. My son just turned 18 and, you know, he's the big adult now and was wanting to stay up till 2 in the morning. That doesn't work in my house. So getting that routine and set and those rules and keep that going through the summer is very helpful.
And while I really agree with Brenda and what she's saying, I also think summer is a great way to teach flexibility.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, you know, during the school year, we are we keep to our schedules a lot. And so in the summer, when like, hey, I have an unexpected day off or it's really nice outside, let's go do something fun. It'll teach a kid how to be okay when things get off of the normal schedule. That's my nice way of saying it's okay to break the schedule sometimes.
So what happens when, what happens when boredom sits in? We don't have, let's say your routine is a routine of boredom. How does that display itself in children?
So I think that as parents, we think that we have to entertain our kids all the time, right? And we want to sometimes do these big extravagant things for our kids. I remember I was born in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s, and mismatched socks were like a thing right then, right? And I was all on board with that. And so I would throw all of my socks into a bin, and as long as they were the same length, that's what I would put on. And I did that even after I was growing up. One day I was doing laundry in the laundry room and my son came in and he does that pump up and down arm sign and he goes, yes! And I'm like, what's going on? And I was matching socks. He goes, I love matching socks. And he runs out. And so as parents, we think we have to do all these extravagant things, but for my kid that day, having matching socks was the coolest things ever. And I think when it comes to boredom, it's okay sometimes for the kiddos to be bored and give them the opportunity to find healthy things to deal with boredom. Because as an adult and as they grow older, there's going to be times where things are boring and they still have to do it. So I think it's a good way to give them different options and then let them figure out how they're going to manage it. Now, it's also good to have things planned, right? But you don't have to entertain them every single second of the day. They can learn to deal with boredom too.
When my kids were younger, I always had the boredom jar. and in there were little pieces of paper. And if they were bored, they were told to go to the boredom jar and pick out a piece of paper, and that was something they could do instead of me always trying to be the creative one. I think it's also a life lesson of you can have boredom, and then when you do something different or an adventure, that becomes much more exciting. But if you're constantly on this high and go, 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 it kind of takes off that extra zing of fun. And so it's okay to be bored sometimes and just let your mind kind of relax and be at peace.
Well, I guess looking at summer, let me ask you this. How do you view summer camp? Is that an alternative?
I think summer camps are wonderful. I think that there's all sorts of them out there. The wonderful thing, when I was doing some looking up of Sioux City and what is available, there's a lot of really inexpensive day camps or overnight camps or different things like that that you can do, because some camps can be really expensive. There are scholarship opportunities for some that are available. You know, even the Sioux City Art Center, they have wonderful programs for kids. They've got, you've got the Dorothy Pico Nature Center, you've got the Parks and Rec. There's all sorts of wonderful things that are low cost for kids to do, and some of them you can just show up. The other thing that I don't know if you guys are aware of, it's free fishing weekend this weekend in Iowa. So get your fishing poles and go out and do some fishing.
Well, I'm Art Silva, and you're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well, and with me is Brenda Geisinger and Amy Small from Family Services, and we're discussing children and summer activities. Let's continue our discussion. How important is physical activity?
I think it's really important when you look at what research shows us when you're looking at depression. It's healthy eating habits, consistent sleep patterns, and increase of physical activity. So when you're thinking about they're not having this interactions with friends or school, or their routine is different, it's important to increase the physical activity to kind of help, mitigate if there is some of those depression type symptoms that would be coming on.
It gets that blood flowing, that energy gets them active. And, they don't have to go nonstop all day. They have to stay hydrated and things like that. But exercise is good. It gets you going.
Well, I remember when we were raising our children, I wanted to keep them busy and active so they would sleep at night.
Yes,
absolutely.
Give me a
Yes.
break.
Yes.
But how important are mentally stimulating activities? We can have activities that just like cardboard. But how important is it to have something that's really mentally stimulating on top of the physical side of it?
I think our brains always need to grow and be challenged, whether it's reading a book or going outside in nature and just exploring and looking at the wonder of nature. But keeping that mind active, so when school resumes, they're used to thinking and using those critical thinking skills to just sit in front of a TV and veg out and not let your mind think can be problematic, and things can go downhill very quickly.
Absolutely. And the state of Iowa has some really great library supports. And a lot of the libraries have children's summer reading programs that are awesome for kids to be involved in. The other thing that I see is it's a great way for non-book learning in the summer, whether it's you're learning going out and fishing or camping or learning how to, hammer things with grandpa or dad or whoever. It's a great way to go out and explore and your environment and learn that way too.
Brenda, you bring up a good point on the reading in the books, because we'll talk about this at a later show. But also, coming out of summer, there's that transition back to school. Mm-hmm. So the routine that we've created with the summer months, you have to get the kids back in gear. I know we see this all the time at Boys and Girls Home and the energy flow, and we see how the kids come back into school from the summer. And there's a period of time you just got to get them refocus. There you go. That's word.
When you talk about that, Art, Sioux City, there's some of the schools in Sioux City that, especially the middle schools, have really great transition programs. So if you have kiddos that are going from 5th grade into middle school, they have a few weeks before school, and it depends on the school. They'll have different part-time transition days for the kids to start getting used to it, and the teachers and buildings. So it's something to check into when it gets to that time of year.
Well, we're a lot of good information being shared here for everybody. So we're coming up on our break, so we're going to take a little pause for the cause, and we'll be right back here when things aren't going well on KSCJ.
Let's face it,
That happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva, along with Brenda Geisinger and Amy Small from Family Services. And our topic today is activities for your children in the summertime. So let's focus on some fun ideas to help alleviate some common problems that the kids always say. We're going to start off with, I'm bored. And Brenda, you talked about your little jar of boring tips to do and things that you when you're bored. So Amy, you want to continue that? Okay, Mom, I'm bored.
Tough cookies. No, I'm just kidding. I really liked Brenda's idea of the jar. One thing that I think is really fun is if you get a canvas, you can get them at, any discount store. And when you go on different events, even a walk around the block, you go and you pick up and find little trinkets that you think are cute. Okay, so things that are okay to take, like leaves or sticks or something. You don't want to go in and pick somebody's flowers from their garden, right? Or if you guys are going on an adventure, we're going out to eat someplace special, you pick up all different little trinkets or remembrances of that experience, and you go home and you use your problem-solving skills to figure out how are we going to attach this to this canvas. By the end of the summer, you have a canvas with little things of all the different adventures that you took as a memory, and you can look at that and, oh, that's a receipt from there, or that's a leaf that we found when we were hiking there, or this is from the neighbor's house when we went for a barbecue. So it's kind of like an ongoing thing, and it's a family art project that you can hang up. It's like a scrapbook of items that you can hang up on your wall.
So incumbent in that is all the activities that you did to collect these, and that helps with the boredom. And do you schedule these things out in advance? We got resources here in town like the Dorothy Pico Center.
Yes.
There are so many things we can do here, and just go in and do that, explore with children and stuff like that. Do you plan out events with your children?
I would like to say yes, Art. I absolutely do. But honestly, there is sometimes that I do if it's going to be an extended period of time. But sometimes I see something online or Facebook and it's going on that night. I'm like, let's go get in the car. We're going to go do this thing. And Dorothy Pico, they have really fun campfire songs out there too. That's one that I really like. So anyways,
I'll get the marshmallows.
I know.
The other trick with boredom sometimes is just getting their mind to focus on something else. You're bored. How about you help me with the dishes? And if they know a chore is coming, if they say I'm bored, they don't quite say it as often. It's just another little trick, kind of help them along. They learn very quickly, let me tell you. When it comes to mowing the lawn or weeding out that flower bed, it's a lot easier to go find something else to do.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I do think it's important, though, when we look at like the socializing of our kids, if your kiddo is used to being really social, it is important to plan times where they're going to have things to interact with kids their own age, whether it's their friends that they know or it's different camps where they'll get to meet new people. I think it is important. While family time is super important, I think it's also important to remember that, hey, we may have to schedule some friend time because parents work, so what is that going to look like too?
Okay, let's deal with, summertime, you get all the fast food and ice cream and stuff. But how about, nourishment is very important for mental wellness, but how about, I'm hungry? And you hear that a lot from kids in the summertime. What's some of the remedies for that, Brenda?
One of the things when people say I'm hungry, quite often they're just dehydrated and they need water or some type of hydration that's healthy. And we're not talking pop because that doesn't help with hydration. But try that first before you automatically go to the sugary snacks. And sometimes people will say I'm hungry because they're actually bored. And that's their body tricking them and they get used to snacking. So if they're going to snack, have healthy snacks available, keep them energized, keep them hydrated, and teach them healthy eating skills.
Summertime is a great time to check out the local farmers markets or
Yes.
things like that. There might be some sample things. Then other thing is get your kids involved with the garden. It can be just a small garden, but that also can help with boredom too. They have to tend it, make sure that it's watered and weeded and all those things, and then they get to eat the fruits of their labors or vegetables of their later on. It can also help with kids that are picky eaters because if they grow it, they're more apt to taste it. Are they going to like it? Maybe not, but at least it's a way to kind of trick them into trying something too.
And some of this involves a relearning on the parents' behalf in terms of what to offer. I remember I watched the Boys and Girls Home, and we went through the transition when the federal government changed the food guidelines, and they cut a lot of sugar out. So that affected the snacking, and our kids jumped on ants on a log. And that's a little celery with peanut butter and some raisins. And so if you learn these new things, kids took right to them. So it was very surprising. It was an educational opportunity also with the children to talk about nourishment and some really good healthy snacks. So I'm hungry. If you can just drive by that McDonald's and Happy Meal, that's a tough one, but it's good. It's part of our socialization, part of our culture. So every now and then you have to give in and you allow
It's a
that little
treat,
treat.
yeah.
It's a treat, but it's a treat. So, okay, the third one. And this is something that varies in families. I want to talk about I'm sad. Mom, I'm sad. Oh, okay. How would you handle that, Amy?
So I think, sad is one of those emotions that maybe when kiddos aren't exactly sure what they're feeling, they just know that they're feeling different, that they say, I'm sad. And it could be tied to boredom. I think a lot of things we're talking about today could possibly be led to boredom. But I think to talk about why is it that you're sad? Are you missing friends? Are you, not having things to do? Whatever that is. And just, I think it's important for kids to know that let's talk about it. We might not be able to fix it, so to speak, but just talking about it will get it off your shoulders, maybe.
It goes back to when you see someone down the street or you're in work and someone says, how are you? And the quick response is, I'm fine, when really you're not. And so when your child says, I'm sad, explore that with them and learn how to be honest with one another. And it helps that relationship. And it's okay to not be okay and to have feelings and talk about that.
Speaking of summertime, we moved to Sioux City back in 1986. And we moved in January. And one of our fears was that, geez, how are the kids going to make friends? They're going to come right in the middle of the school year. We thought it might be better to come in the summertime. But what a mistake that would have been. All the kids were gone. When our kids came in January, everybody wanted to meet the new kid. So they came right into school, and they made friends right away going into the summer. That was just an unexpected surprise. But then around here, a lot of kids go different areas, go different directions. So new friends all of a sudden split up. And now you're down to one or two friends that's just kind of hanging around. But then again, you develop other friendships. You may go to the pool, and at the pool you meet kids that you didn't from other schools you didn't know before. So it's an adventure. The summer is an adventure. And I think if you start off with an adventure plan, for your children, it could be an adventure for parents also.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're coming up close to the end of our show, so wrap it up. Give me your recipe for summertime fun with your children. And let's talk about kids at a younger age and kids at an older age, because our older kids might need a little different kind of attention.
Sometimes it can help to have some organization around it. So have your kids come up with their summer bucket list. Write it out together. What do you guys want to absolutely get done for the summer? And then you can kind of fill in on the sides just for fun, spontaneous things. But then you both have goals, expectations, and what are we going to do for a great time?
So for me, I'm saying be present. Run through those sprinklers with them. Jump in the pool with your clothes on, do those types of things just to be a kid with your kids. When they're getting older, you also have to, and I'm learning this right now, it's very hard for me, allow your older kids to have some independence. So they might get to go and do a few things with just their friends and mom or dad isn't there with them. It's hard, but we can do it.
Those are some great recommendations, some suggestions for the summertime. We're coming up on the end of our show for this week, and I want to leave you with a little humor for your mental wellness. Laughter is medicine for the soul. So here we go. There are 3 types of people in the world. Those who can count and those who can't. Okay. Listen, then Brenda, Amy, thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Also, we want to thank our listening audience for joining us this morning. I want to give a shout out to Kevin Knudsen, Terry Horsley, and Susie Long, and also bargain betting over to Andrew and Lacey for a great job they did with their hearts. So we appreciate that. We'll be back here next Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here on KSCJ, and our topic will be sports fans and mental wellness. You've seen a lot of that in the news lately, so you don't want to miss next week's show. Have a great week. May the sun shine on you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails.